In August 1945, Tsutomu Yamaguchi left home on a routine work trip and stepped into the heart of two cataclysms. He is the only person officially recognized as having survived both atomic bombings at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This episode of A Point in Time follows Yamaguchi's life across just a few days, from an ordinary morning in Hiroshima, through the blinding flash that changed everything, to his battered journey back to Nagasaki, only to face a second nuclear blast. So, picture this with me for a second. It's August 1945, a sweltering summer in Japan, and for one guy, Tsutomu Yamaguchi, it's supposed to be just a work trip. Nothing heroic, nothing dramatic. He works for Mitsubishi, and he's on a temporary assignment in Hiroshima, helping with shipbuilding work at the shipyards there. It's the kind of thing where you circle the dates on a calendar. You know when it starts, you know when you're going home. Routine. By the morning of August 6th, his time in Hiroshima is basically up. He's packing up his thoughts, mentally already halfway back to his home city of Nagasaki. That morning, he leaves for what should be one last walk to the shipyard. Same streets, same sounds, same little details you only notice at the end of a trip. How the air smells near the docks. How the light hits the buildings. It's early, quiet in that way cities are just before they fully wake up. On the way in, he and his coworkers are talking about leaving, about trains, tickets, the logistics of getting back to Nagasaki. Completely everyday stuff. No sense at all that anything history-shattering is minutes away. He reaches the shipyard area, getting ready to start another day on the job, and then 8:15 a.m. hits. There's this blinding flash, not like a camera flash, not lightning, nothing you can easily compare to, just white, all-consuming. One moment, it's a normal Monday morning. The next, it's as if the sky itself has split open. In that instant, his world turns into heat and light and impact. He's thrown, injured, stunned. His body is suddenly in pain, his hearing and vision wrecked by that single moment. When he comes back to himself, Hiroshima is no longer the same city he walked through minutes earlier. It's burning, broken, unrecognizable. He's hurt and disoriented, surrounded by chaos, people trying to move, to find water, to understand what just happened. There are fires, smoke, debris everywhere. The air itself feels hostile. In that kind of shock, a lot of people would just freeze. But somewhere inside all that confusion, one thought manages to cut through for Yamaguchi. He has to get home. Home is Nagasaki. His family is in Nagasaki. Whatever this thing was, this single bomb that has just wrecked a whole city, he needs to get away from it and back to them. So, injured and half in a daze, he starts making his way out. Through streets that are now barely streets, past ruins that were buildings only an hour before. Every step is painful, slow, but he keeps moving, picking his way through a burning city with this one simple goal: survive this day. Somehow get back to Nagasaki. Now, if you've ever had a day where everything goes wrong, missed trains, bad weather, the works, just mentally crumple that up and throw it in the trash. Because what Yamaguchi faces trying to leave Hiroshima is on another planet. He's injured, exhausted, and the city around him is barely functioning as a city anymore. He pushes on toward the train station because that's his only real way out. Imagine that walk. Every turn is a reminder of what that single blast has done. Fires, ruined homes, stunned survivors. He's in pain, bandaged as best he can manage. But he keeps moving because the alternative is just stopping in the middle of a catastrophe. When he reaches the station, it's not some orderly evacuation scene. It's overcrowded, chaotic, filled with people trying to get anywhere that isn't Hiroshima. The trains that are still running are absolutely packed. And yet, somehow, he manages to board an evacuation train. It's not comfortable. It's not calm. It's a moving capsule of shock. Everyone on it has seen some version of the same nightmare. On that ride, he's trying to process what he's just lived through. One bomb has done what entire air raids never did. In a single instant, a city he'd just been working in, just walking through, is devastated. I mean, how do you even wrap your head around that? You're hurt, you're exhausted, and you've just witnessed something no one has words for yet. Eventually, the train brings him back to Nagasaki. He steps off not as a returning businessman from a routine trip, but as someone who's seen the impossible. When he reunites with his family, there's relief. He's alive. He's home. But also this big gap between what he knows and what they can believe. He tells them what happened in Hiroshima, what one bomb did, and it sounds unreal. They listen, but it's like describing a nightmare that doesn't fit with the quiet, intact city around them. Because Nagasaki, at that moment, is calm. Life is still going on. People go to work, kids run around, shops open, there's tension, there's war, but nothing that hints that the same kind of horror could be heading their way. It's this strange, almost eerie calm sitting right next to his fresh memories of Hiroshima. And despite everything, despite being bandaged and shaken and probably still in shock, Yamaguchi does what a lot of people do in hard times. He goes back to work. He reports for duty at Mitsubishi in Nagasaki. He's not okay, but he's there. And he tries to warn people. He tells his colleagues what he's seen, that a single bomb can destroy a city. Not an air raid, not dozens of planes, one weapon. You can imagine the looks he gets. It sounds like an exaggeration or a misunderstanding, but he knows exactly what he saw in Hiroshima. So the next day, he's at Mitsubishi in Nagasaki, still wrapped in bandages, still carrying Hiroshima in his head. He's actually in the office, talking about it, trying to explain to his colleagues what one bomb did, how the city just vanished into fire and ruin. I can almost hear him searching for words, because there weren't really words for atomic bomb in everyday conversation yet. And right as he's describing that destruction, this thing people can barely imagine, Nagasaki gets its own blinding flash. Another sudden eruption of light, another instant where ordinary reality is ripped apart. It's that same impossible brightness all over again, in two different cities, in two different moments. And somehow, he is there for both. The office, the city, everything around him is thrown into chaos. Once again, he's hit by the force of a blast that no one should ever experience even once. This second attack layers new injuries and new shock on top of the first. His body is already hurt, his mind already shaken from Hiroshima, and now Nagasaki, his home, his family's city, is under the same kind of attack. But he and his family survive. In a city torn apart, they make it through. Survival doesn't mean it's neat or simple. It's painful, confusing, terrifying, but they are alive in the aftermath of a second atomic bombing. And slowly, as the dust and smoke settle and the days pass, the sheer reality of what's happened to him starts to sink in. He has lived through 2 atomic blasts. Not stories he read, not rumors. He was physically there, first in Hiroshima, then in Nagasaki. Now, it sounds like something out of a movie, or some urban legend your friend swears is true. But this isn't that. Tsutomu Yamaguchi's experience isn't a myth. It's documented. He's officially recognized as someone who survived both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. The odds of that, of being in 2 different cities hit by the 2 atomic bombs used in war and surviving both, are so small they're basically impossible to grasp. And yet, they're real. They're recorded. They happened. What I find kind of astonishing is how his story forces you to zoom in on history. We talk about Hiroshima and Nagasaki like they're a pair of dates in a textbook. But for Yamaguchi, they were 2 mornings, 2 flashes, 2 escapes, one body trying to hold all that shock and pain. And every part of it, his work trip, the blast in Hiroshima, the train home, the warnings in Nagasaki, that second flash, is part of the historical record. And maybe that's the note to end on today. This one man, moving through those 2 cities at exactly the wrong moments, somehow makes the scale of it all feel both bigger and more personal at the same time. You've been listening to A Point in Time, where we take one moment from history and explore the story behind it. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the podcast, leave a review, and join me next time for another completely true, slightly unbelievable moment from the past. Because history doesn't need exaggeration. It's strange enough already.